Popular children's author, Dick King-Smith, recently visited a Saddleback pig farm with his grandchildren and talked about his latest Puffin title, Saddlebottom.
Get too close up to his head, Charlie, because that's the boar, and he might just take your welly off, just as a change from pig nuts, you see. Essex Saddlebacks or Wessex Saddlebacks?
Wessex.
Yes, right.
This one hasn't got the saddle bottom bum.
No, they haven't. They shouldn't have, you see. Saddlebottom shouldn't have had a white bum.
It's got big balls.
Dick, what makes an animal or animals a good subject for stories?
I think probably the answer to that is that people like me do. I make the animal into a good subject by making it, hopefully, into an interesting character. Of course, you do always come across animals that are characters of their own right. And if you can think of one of those or copy one of those or remember one of those, well, you've got a natural character. But my business is invention, fantasy, so I have to dream up animal characters that will interest children, catch their attention, which often is easier to do than it would be with human characters.
You've written about pigs in your latest book, Saddlebottom, which is to be published by Puffin in June, '87. You've written about pigs before. What do you like about them?
Of all farm animals, pigs are the brightest by a mile.
Your books have a special appeal for children. Why do you write for children?
I think probably because the first story that came into my head, which actually got published under the title The Foxbusters, was a story, I suppose, designed to catch children's interest, although hopefully adults might like it too. And having started writing for children, so to speak, I just went on more or less automatically. But I don't think, in point of fact, that I could write very interesting stuff for adults. There's a sort of common misconception that children's writers have an easier job than adult writers. I don't believe this to be true, in fact. I think that children are extremely demanding and extremely thoughtful about their reactions to stories, more so than a lot of adults. And to put a story together that's going to hold them from the first page to the last word demands a lot of thought and a lot of work. But the real answer to your question, I think, why do I write for children, is because I get on with children. I like children. I've never really sort of totally grown up, thank God, because grown-ups who are totally grown up are consummate bores, all of them. I could mention one or two in public life, but I won't in this interview.
Saddlebottom, like Daggy Dogfoot, your other piggy hero, is physically flawed in the eyes of his family.
Yeah.
But he ultimately succeeds.
Yes.
Is this a common theme in your book?
Yes, I think it is, rather. I think I don't try to preach. I hope I don't preach. But if there are lessons to be put over, then I like to be the right sort of lessons. And one thing that I find I do put over is the necessity for courage, whether it's moral courage or physical courage. Possibly because I never had much myself at the right time. I like to ascribe it to my animal characters, because courage is something that, you know, whether we're a human or a pig or a mouse or anything, chances are we need some form of it almost every day of our lives. And I particularly like it when it's displayed by the 7-stone weakling. You know, it's perhaps it's easy to be big and tough if you're big and tough, but it's not at all easy if you're small or timid or perhaps handicapped. So I rather like that idea of taking somebody with a lot of uphill battles to fight and letting him win them.
Friendship between animals who might not be expected to get on in real life is in nearly all your books. Do you think that animals are better at being loyal and friendly than human beings?
The kind of friends that I put together would tend in life to be totally incompatible. I mean, it's pretty unlikely that you would have a cat as a friend for a pig. In the sort of books I write, I can do it, so I do it because it's fun. And certainly there are aspects of animal life where loyalty is at a premium. Take something like a bird like the swan that mates for life. The kind of loyalty that's exhibited there would be well copied in the human scale. Swans don't get divorced.
In Saddlebottom, your experiences as a soldier and a farmer have come together. Do many of your stories stem from your own background?
Yes, I think they must do to some extent. I mean, the fact that I was a farmer helps in writing the kind of farmyard fantasies that I write. The fact that I was a soldier for a time, I suppose, helped in the kind of battle scenes such as there are in a book like The Mouse Butcher, for example, and in The Foxbusters. But in Saddlebottom, I was indulging myself a bit because I was having a bit of a giggle at the military establishment. Whether it comes off or not and what children will think of it, I don't know. Luckily, most small boys like soldiers and soldiering, so they might like it.
Dick, your award-winning book, The Sheep Pig, features Babe, which is a pig which herds sheep. But surely you've never known of such an animal.
In its first conception, it was complete fantasy. And the book had been out about 6 months before I was sent a cutting from a South Wales provincial newspaper about a sheep farmer who had 2 small male pigs that he had kept for some reason as pets, and they had grown up to be quite large boars, and they went out with him every morning to have a look at the sheep, and they rushed about snorting and grunting and driving the sheep all over the shop, I should think, without any expertise, as my character does. But it just shows you that truth is stranger than fiction.
People are often portrayed as animals, such as Harmony's uncle, the grizzly bear, and her fussy mother, the pouter pigeon, in your book The Queen's Nose. And you said that Magnus Power Mouse is actually about one of your grandsons.
That's true.
Do you always see people as animals and animals as people?
Not always, but more than I used to. I think it all stemmed from a time during the war when I was on a troop ship going round the Cape of Good Hope that took an awful long time because there were submarines about. And one of my fellow travellers was a chap who was absolutely brilliant at drawing people's heads, people's faces, and then sticking animals' bodies on them. And he did more or less everybody on this huge liner, I think, by the time we actually got to Cairo. I was a little disappointed, in fact, in my portrayal because I had hoped to be something rather dignified or noble in some way. But in fact, when he came to draw me, I was a horrible little monkey with a long curly tail.
If you were portrayed as an animal of your choice, what would it be?
Well, it certainly wouldn't be that monkey. I think now that a lot of time has passed, if that man were to come back and draw me again, I think I'd like to be one of 2 things. I think I'd either like to be a silverback gorilla. I'm not big enough or strong enough, actually, but I love gorillas because they're so marvellously gentle, and people are just beginning to realise that. Or if I wasn't that, I would like to be a rather large, shaggy cow dog that lived happily on a farm somewhere and rounded up the cows morning and night. There we are. See if you'd like to come back up for a minute. Would you like to come back for a minute? Make yourself comfy. Don't be silly.